Welcome to the most deleted, shadow banned, demonetized, censored, and trolled channel on social media. Recipient of the Patriot Warrior Purple Q Award.
Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Inglorious Patriots. It is October 13th, 2025, and the time now is 23:39 hours Eastern Time here in beautiful southern North Carolina. I'm glad that higher priorities prevented me from posting this video 2 days ago when I had started to put it together. This allows me to stitch together a problem, the resolution to the problem, and mix all of that with a video that I posted on March 8th, 2019 on a YouTube channel that was deleted and now has been restored because YouTube faced thousands of lawsuits for violation of free speech. Recent events, although very unfortunate for many individuals, has served to awaken the sleeping masses who for generations have been lied to, gaslighted, and made violently stupid by the combination of state-run public schools, Ivy League indoctrination centers, and the wholly cabal-controlled mainstream media, which is thankfully on a slippery slope to a well-deserved permanent extinction. It is a well-known fact that the left's lawfare has backfired on the cabal in spectacular fashion. With an empty shell of impossible promises and unconstitutional laws and other disingenuous litigation, a coordinated system of treasonous plots and infiltration of the core of American society, the New World Order leftist scumbags have brought this nation of peaceful, law-abiding citizens to the very brink of another civil war. And make no mistake, my friends, they will stop at nothing to achieve their ultimate goal, and that is the destruction of the one thing that stands in their way, to turn the entire planet into mindless automatons who will do their bidding without question and without a hint of resistance. Those raised from early childhood will grow up believing in nothing else, since there will be no other experience in their lifetime to compare their existence to. But for those of us who have had personal experience with this cabal of narcissistic bags of subhuman refuse, the tactic of lawfare and social demonization is nothing new. In many cases brought against those who threaten to rock their corrupt empire, the only sane course of action is to lose this battle and work from within the belly of the beast in order to acquire enough irrefutable proof to expose their tactics for the world to see. This course of action on the part of a true patriot only brings about more trouble and more libel and slander, and when that fails, attempts on his life, which in some cases, like that of Charlie Kirk, ultimately succeed. There is an old saying among Christians, you can't have a testimony without a test. And I would add a caveat to that. To succeed in the battle against evil, the good Lord has to have your six. And I'm here to tell you the Lord has had my six since forever, and like many imperfect characters in the Bible, I have not a clue as to why. And so I am here on social media since 2015, and on the internet since 2004, in order to mercilessly and constantly bust the deep state's balls as viciously and as effectively as my abilities and my talent on loan from God permit. And I'll be here doing just that until the real estate broker for my mansion that awaits me in heaven is ready for me to move in. To tell you the truth, I'd be happy with a 3-bedroom ranch and Mexicans to mow the lawn. I don't ask for much. The work is its own reward. What I've done over the past 20 years more than makes up for the grief that it caused me. Those who have been with me on social media for a while can attest to that, and those who continue to this day using bogus bullshit from 27 years ago to defame, slander, and libel, well, the following should serve as a warning. There will be a reckoning. Lawyer up! And while I think about it, I want to thank all of you who have supported the efforts made here over the years and those who have called with words of encouragement. We are in the process of house hunting, and for the next few months our time is going to be limited. We will continue to bring you our unique perspectives as best we can. In the meantime, support us by checking out all the deals and links in the description section. I will begin the expose promised in the title of this video with a repost of a video I did back in 2019. I will progress to a recent terroristic threat made to one of my favorite content creators, Benny Johnson, and what happened to the piece of left-wing camel dung who made the threat through the mail. Suffice it to say, where this dipshit is going, he won't be making threats for a long time.
There is no need for violence, but some insist on being violent when ad hominem attacks, bullying, libel, slander, and censorship ultimately fail, failing because their philosophy and their insane ideas cannot stand the test of open debate. The latest tactic is to incite the opposition to fight amongst themselves, but that will ultimately fail as well. Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA. It is March 7th, 2019, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to share this article with you that I wrote, this was 2005, 2006. It's titled Page 57, and it's on my website. I will leave a link in the description, and it's shown below. The title of the article is Page 57. Where the affinity level is hate, the reality is solid matter, and the communication bullets. From L. Ron Hubbard's Scientology Fundamentals of Thought on page 57. And that was taken from Scientology when just before the Hollywood crowd got in there and ruined the reputation of L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology, which is, as far as I'm concerned, saved my life, but that's another story. Truer words were never spoken by man. The affinity referred to here is the degree of liking or attraction between two or more people. The reality is simply what can be agreed upon to be true or agreed upon as common between those people. When people can only agree on what is empirically evident, they tend to communicate with violence, disrespect, or by exploiting each other. Often, as with all wars, they communicate with bullets. And let me put my 2 cents here. Some people cannot even agree on what is empirically evident these days. These are the first few articles in a planned series of articles. The first of the essays was an article on the exploitation of incarcerated veterans in an upstate New York prison by an individual who used to work for the Canandaigua Veterans Administration and the prison staff. I have posted reproductions of the documents related to this article on this website, and if you go to the website and click on those links, you can explore that bit of governmental abuse. I coined the phrase page 57 because the above quote is the only complete sentence on page 57 of the cited volume, and it should have been bold-faced and set in 72-point type. Let's go to page 57 is a phrase that means the only way to communicate with a person is to bust my gun because there is no reasoning with that person or organization. We have a lot of that busting of guns going around today. When people's rights are violated, when their freedoms are being taken away, when they are robbed blind and enslaved by a puppet government that's gotten out of hand, the Second Amendment applies. That's why the merchants of chaos are working so hard to repeal it, or to pretend to themselves and try to convince the rest of us that it was put there so that you and I could go duck hunting. This is also why a growing number of government employees are being placed above the law by the courts. They are immune from criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits, and that simply cannot be tolerated any longer. We, the people, have a right to petition the government for redress of grievances and to be compensated for our injuries. The courts have stolen our right of petition. And you should go to this page right here that I'll leave a link in the description and click on those links and follow those links around and get yourself an education about what this government has been doing for a very, very, very long time. This is Dave from Net4Truth USA. Thank you very much for listening.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for being here. We've been living through a horrific cycle of political violence in this country. We've seen attacks against police officers, federal agents, including the deadly shooting in the ICE facility in Dallas. Night after night, Antifa wreaks havoc on our streets of our cities. In Minnesota, a gunman murdered a state lawmaker and her husband. It was horrific. An anti-Semitic lunatic tried to burn down Governor Shapiro's house while he was in it with his wife and young children. This week, authorities arrested a man outside a Catholic church in Washington, D.C. with hundreds of explosive devices. And on September 10th, our nation stopped in its tracks with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We miss him dearly. Unfortunately, I'm here today to talk about similar threats that were made against Benny Johnson and his wife, Kate. Benny's a well-known media personality carrying a message very similar to Charlie's, grounded largely in faith and love of country. Just days after Charlie's assassination, Benny received a letter at his home where he and Kate are raising their beautiful, beautiful young family. The author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. This was a coward hiding behind a keyboard who thought he could get away with this. That's why we're standing up here today. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter. George Isbell Jr. was taken into custody this morning, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison. This was incredible teamwork. Benny called me right away. Chief Burkhoff, thank you. You were on it right away. Matt Fodor and all the FBI agents. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. All of the U.S. Postal Service, FBI, state and local law enforcement working together. This is what it's about. And we are going to catch you if you think you can do something like this. We don't care if you're across the country in California. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will extradite you, and we will bring you to justice. We cannot allow this political violence to continue any longer. This arrest will serve as a reminder to many. Do not do this. We will find you. Greg Kehoe is going to give some details of the incident, of the horrible crime, and we're not going to get into specifics of what's in the letter. It's pretty horrific, and it's now a pending case. But I just want to thank all of the law enforcement officers standing behind me. And I want to thank Benny and Kate for standing so strong and fighting for their views and not cowering in fear, but coming out and supporting their faith and their values. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Just preliminarily, I'm Greg Kehoe, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida. I just want to introduce some of the individuals that are here at the podium so you can put names to faces, and they have all participated in this. As the general there said, this was a coordinated effort. In my far right is Rodney Crawford. He's the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI. Next to him is Blad Rojo, who's the Inspector in charge for the Postal Service, and Mark Glass is behind me. Right behind me, he is the Commissioner of FDLE, and last but certainly not least is Chief Lee Burkaw of the Tampa Police Department. You know, often we talk about coordinated, organized efforts by law enforcement to get something done, and I will tell you this is a textbook example of that. This letter came in to Mr. Johnson and his wife. They immediately contacted the Tampa Police Department. Lee Burkaw and his folks at Tampa Police Department got on this letter right away, pulled in the FBI, pulled in FDLE. The Postal Service was able to track where this letter was sent from in San Diego in a miraculously quick period of time. FDLE turned around the fingerprints that were obtained from the particular letter to identify George Russell Isbell on this matter, and there was an arrest by the FBI who was coordinating this in outside the San Diego area in conjunction with the local U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI in San Diego, and last but not least, the San Diego Police Department. What we have here, and you can look at the complaint that has been filed and that is before you, is a vicious, horrific letter threatening Mr. Johnson and his family, sent to Mr. Johnson's house. In the complaint that you'll see, and also it attaches Isbell's letter, he is calling for the extermination of Mr. Johnson, that he should be strangled by an American flag, that he hoped somebody blows his head off, and then some vicious comments thereafter. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been at this podium many times before, and I say this and I say it again to echo what the Attorney General has just said and what the Attorney General has said throughout the country when similar instances have come up. Such conduct will simply not be tolerated. It will not be tolerated. If you send a communication to anyone, anyhow, anywhere where you are threatening individuals with harm, you will be prosecuted by the United States Department of Justice. And you will be prosecuted while we bring all of the joint assets of law enforcement, as you see here, the Tampa Police Department, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the United States Postal Service, and of course, coordinating this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So the word should get out, and it should be no mistake that if you decide at any point, at any time, to write such a thing and send it over the wires, or in this instance, put it in the mails, you will be prosecuted and you will be held accountable. If we can just take a couple of moments, I know Mr. Johnson wants to make a few comments, and I invite you to do so.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, officers. 1 month ago today, I witnessed my friend of 10 years, someone who I considered a brother, a loving husband, a devoted father, a generational leader, get assassinated on a live stream by a left-wing radical. Approximately 1 year ago, I witnessed the President of the United States get shot in the head by a left-wing radical, who also took the life of a Trump supporter in front of his daughters and wife. 2 months ago, Christian children kneeling and praying in a church were slaughtered by a left-wing extremist. And 2 weeks ago, federal law enforcement was shot at multiple sniper rounds in a federal facility by a left-wing extremist. If it's happening every single week, is it that extreme? Or has the Democrat Party mainstreamed violence as a political tool? The individual who wrote me described why he wanted me dead. I was a white, cis, Christian Trump supporter. They described in great detail how I would be killed in an open field, just like Charlie, how Much blood would come out of my head and neck when it was blown off. This individual described orphaning my 4 beautiful children and widowing my wife with great joy. You might want to say, another left-wing radical, another extremist. And to that, I would like to direct your attention to the state of Virginia, where Democrats have nominated and are about to vote for the chief law enforcement officer in that state, a man who has done the exact same thing. An individual who's calling for the assassination by bullets of Republicans that he disagrees with. The killing of their children. The slaughtering of, as he says, little fascists. Are my 4 innocent, beautiful children little fascists? Violence has been mainstreamed by the Democrat Party. It is not extremist, it is mainstream. And we need a moment of reckoning here. This has to stop. This cycle must end. Is any Democrat courageous enough to disavow violence? To call for individuals that espouse these things, like what happened to my family, or what's happening in Virginia, to call for those kind of candidates to step down? Will Democrats vote for that? Because if you're voting for that, then implicitly you're encouraging it, you're endorsing it. I don't want political violence. I want peace in my nation. I love this country. I want to be able to debate like Charlie did. I want to be able to raise my family in peace. That is our birthright. But you cannot make peace with evil as a Christian. You cannot unite with people who want you dead. I want unity in this nation. I want to be able to agree on more than what we disagree on. But for that first to happen, we must understand the battle. We are fighting good versus evil, darkness versus light. And good must conquer evil. Do not make peace with evil. To that end, and in conclusion, I would like to thank federal law enforcement, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI, the DOJ, the Tampa Police Department, the detectives here, with absolute pinpoint accuracy, professionalism, courtesy, swift and tact. They were able to act instantly in order to make sure that my family was safe. Potentially to preserve the lives of my children. And they're doing that for families all around the country in many different ways. Every American should unite behind that cause. No matter who you are, you should say, this is a country where families should be able to raise their children safely, where people can have peaceful disagreements, where we can all live together under one American flag. I just want to profoundly thank the Trump administration and federal law enforcement and local law enforcement for saving my family. I will never forget it. It is the greatest goodness that has ever been done to me. And that is a thing that every American can get behind. The Trump administration making America safe again. God bless them.
Thank you. We'll take, do you want to, you have a few questions?
Attorney General,
Wait, I'll go left to right. Okay.
Attorney General, I do know that it's unfortunate what happened to your family in that letter, but he just described that this is solely put on by the Democratic Party. Do you see it that way, that this is something that is caused by the Democratic Party?
No, and I just talked about what happened in Minnesota to a Democrat, what happened in Pennsylvania to a Democrat governor. No, this was a left-wing radical, absolutely. The same type of person who murdered and assassinated Charlie Kirk. That's what we're talking about here today. But it doesn't matter who you are. If you commit an act of violence, a written threat through the mail, we are going to find you. These men behind me are going to hunt you down and find you. This guy thought he got away with this, and he thought he could hurt Benny and his family, and it's not going to happen. We have open cases, other open cases all over this country, and we're going to find you.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This is a video that I hoped I would never have to do, but here we are. The DOJ has arrested somebody who was trying to kill me, or at the very least, they said they were. And when somebody says who they are, you should believe them, especially in instances like this. I'm kind of tired of seeing my president get shot in the head, my best friends get shot on a live stream. I'm tired of watching children get killed praying in church. And I'm really, really tired of the left-wing political violence in our country. Here's the arrest warrant for George Russell Isbell Jr. of San Diego. This individual sent a communication to my home that said that I would get my head blown off just like Charlie, and that they would take great joy in orphaning my children and widowing my wife. Listen, I'm aware that people say a lot of garbage. I'm aware that people make a lot of threats. We weren't going to take this lying down. You shouldn't ignore this kind of stuff if somebody does this to you. There are a lot of people on the internet that are like, I get threats all the time. Okay, well, bring them up. Our first call after getting this letter was to the Tampa Police Department. They eventually sent it off to a lab, and they were able to get a DNA match. And this individual, once arrested by the FBI, confessed to sending this letter to me. And so this is the FBI special agent effectively describing how this threatening communication, given the subsection of 18 U.S. Code 867C. This says mailing threatening communications. It's a 10-year penalty for mailing threatening communications saying you're going to kill someone, right? So you're not free. I'm a free speech absolutist. You are not free to incitement. You are not free to terrorism of other people, right? So people shouldn't live in fear because you keep threatening to kill them. Obviously, this is something that has happened to us throughout our entire career, but, we've taken it very seriously every single time. This time, something happened, and I'm really thankful for that. Anyway, this is what's been going on. This is the actual filing here. My name is redacted, but we did a public press conference about it, and so we might as well just have a chat here on the channel about what happened. This is the letter here. You can see this was taken by the police as soon as we got the letter. We called the police, and it says here, the saddest part about your drivel is contamination of your minds. Maybe someone will blow your head off. We can only hope. Planning any public engagements? Love to see your head explode. Blood-stained concrete red. What a sight. It seems pretty obvious here what they want. He calls me Charlie Kirk Jr. Says, I'm sick of you white cis Christian whiners spewing hate. White MAGA podcasters, revolting racists, the guy says. So it's pretty clear that he hates my race. He hates my political ideology. He hates, everything that God made me. Maybe it's because he hates himself, ladies and gentlemen. It says here that victim one, that would be me, stated that his wife received the letters. Family received threats on a regular basis, but once Charlie Kirk, his friend, was murdered, he takes these threats more seriously, and this is all true, of course. Felt the threat was directed at him and his family, and I plan to move in the near future, and stated that his current residence is publicly available online, and that is a matter of fact. On or about September 15th, FBI coordinated with the United States Postal Inspection to determine the original location of the mailing letter. They found out that the letter was posted back to San Diego. And they retraced that. They were able to, from their labs, find DNA evidence of an individual. Then they actually did a raid on this individual. The envelope came back as a match of individual one. And Tampa conducted a baseline to determine that this was, in fact, the residence. And based on the probable cause, they got the arrest warrant, and raided this individual and George Isbell, who, listen, I'm not going to talk about him, but you can look it up. It's all over the internet. Doesn't seem like a great dude. According to things that just people are finding about his record, this individual would certainly have the capacity, as far as I'm concerned, to do something really bad, right? It seems like a bad hombre, as they would say. Listen, I don't want to call myself a martyr. I'm not sitting here to say like everybody should feel like I'm some victim and walk around eggshells, right, and weep and cry. What I'm trying to say here is that you should take this kind of stuff seriously. It shouldn't be allowed. Being a parent is hard enough, man. It's tough to be a parent of little kids. I love it, but like you don't need to do it under terroristic threat. that your kids are that you're going to be killed. I don't know what the hell's going on, particularly with the left, but I'm tired of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've been out preaching, and we've been calling for Democrats to disavow this. Obviously, none of them have. Gavin Newsom, I want to throw it on the gauntlet. Where the hell are you, dude? He wants to run for president. Here's a Californian threatening my life, and he doesn't say nothing, right? No communication, no text message, no way to reach me. He had Charlie on his show like a couple months ago, right? Charlie gave him a great kindness and went on his program, to his little podcast. Yet this dude won't, even disavow this violence. It's a remarkable evil. Here we are talking about it on Fox News, fresh after it happened. We had a press conference with Pam Bondi, obviously. A pretty quick press conference, just got to sort of speak our piece and move on. But here's our Fox News hit, taking it to the next level and describing what we want to see next.
Tonight, the biggest problem inside the Democrat Party isn't bad messaging, terrible fundraising, or poor leadership, though they have that in spades. It's that many in the party have become increasingly radical and open to violence. In just the latest example, a man was arrested on Tuesday for threatening to kill conservative influencer Benny Johnson. Watch this.
We've been living through a horrific cycle of political violence in this country. We've seen attacks against police officers, federal agents, including the deadly shooting in the ICE facility in Dallas. Just days after Charlie's assassination, Benny received a letter at his home where he and Kate are raising their beautiful, beautiful young family. The author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison.
Joining us now with reaction is podcast host Benny Johnson. Benny, thank you for joining us tonight. So first of all, walk us through getting this letter. When was it and where were you when you got it?
Yes, Charles, thank you so much for having me on. We received this letter at my home. The letter described in great detail exactly how they were going to kill me, how I was going to die, and how they would orphan my children and widow my wife, just like they did to my friend exactly 1 month ago today, as we all watched a great man, a generational talent, and what I believe would have been a future president, Charlie Kirk, get shot and killed on a live stream. Approximately 1 year ago, Charlie, we watched President Trump take a bullet to the head. Members of the MAGA movement get killed there in front of their families. 2 months ago, we watched a church filled with praying children get shot up by a left-wing radical. A couple of weeks ago, we watched a left-wing radical shoot up an ICE facility. These are extremists, they say, Charles. But are they really that extreme? My argument is that they are now mainstream in the Democrat Party, and I can prove it. In your beloved state of Virginia, the Democrats in that state are nominating for the top law enforcement official a man who did exactly what was done to my family. Criminally threatened to kill Republicans, to slaughter their children, simply because they are Republican. They called him little fascist. This man's name is Jay Jones, and he's running for the Attorney General position in Virginia right now. Will any Democrat have the bravery to say, we denounce political violence so much that we're going to call for him to drop out? That's exactly what you should do if you are a moral party and if you care about the lives of American children. And so the gauntlet has been thrown down today, and I'm just profoundly thankful for the Trump administration for locking up one of these psychotic and dangerous left-wing radicals.
Well, forget a moral party. If you're just a moral human or just a human, you would reject all of this. And, sadly, you go through all that, and perhaps even more alarming to me is that there are actual public opinion polls that show an alarming number of Democrat voters who are kind of slow to reject this stuff as well. Why do you think that this sort of assassination ideation thing mindset has managed to grip so many on the left?
Yes, well, one, it comes from party leadership. Where is Barack Obama? Where is Hillary Clinton? Where is Nancy Pelosi? Where are the leaders of the Democrat Party saying, no, we're not going to allow somebody who fantasizes and fetishizes the killing of Republican children to become the top law enforcement official? We're going to denounce them. Where is that leadership? Where are they when it comes to the attacks on ICE facilities? I was in Chicago and Portland with Kristi Noem over the last 7 days, and I saw constant attacks against our federal law enforcement officers. It is a truly sunken state, but I would argue that Republicans just have so much more to live for. We have families, we have churches, we have communities, we have children, we have God. And really, ultimately, it is a question of godliness versus godlessness, darkness versus light, good versus evil. It's the eternal battle, and it is a battle that is truly spiritual in nature. And I want to give to your audience a Bible verse that has really been profound for me, that was sent to me by a friend in the administration, from Joshua, that says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." God is the author of life and death. It is time for us to stand up and be courageous. Satan is here to steal, kill, and destroy, and we will defeat evil.
This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA, Inglorious Patriots. And I am Charlie Kirk.